What are the skill set one should have to start the career in product management now? What are the best way to learn product management? There are multiple roles in product management. So what is the career path anyone who's studying? Hello everyone and welcome to Career Conversation Podcast. In this podcast, we invite industry experts from various domains to share their learnings and experience. In today's episode, we have a very special guest, Anand Goud. Anand has around 15 plus years of experience working in industry. Currently, he's working at Amazon. So welcome Anand to the show.
Thank you, Dushyant. Thanks for having me on your show.
So how was your journey started? What was the experience in the last 15 years?
I started my journey in operations where I used to actually process claims for the US clients. But I knew in my first year that this is not something that I will be like doing, or I envision to do this for the next entire career. So, what is the next thing? So, I was like still exploring what to do, what not to do. And that's where I think some of my mentors that I got that helped me to create my own path, which helped me to actually land into the product management world, which
Mhm.
is gonna something that I'm gonna stay for quite some time now, because I find my calling in this role. I find this role has such a wide scope, and there is no
Mhm.
limit to it, how much you can do and how much you can achieve in this one. So that's how. And in the last 15 years, I think, so I come from a very non traditional way to this role, because I don't have an MBA from any B school or anything, and any role that I have cracked in my career was purely based on hands-on experience,
Mhm.
mentorship, and some skill-based trainings that I took at that time, which helped me to get me to the next level or the next role. And that's how I landed up into product management. So I started my product management journey into the human technology space, that is the HR, creating tech for that particular domain. Then I moved into payments, where I'm currently working into fraud detection, and my next stint will be something in logistics. So yeah, that's how my journey has been so far.
And how you see the evolution of product management last 10 years and next 10 years?
So earlier, the product management was core into software development. For example, you
Mhm.
have to develop a software. So you have a product manager who will work with the engineering team and who will get this product developed and then ship it to the clients. So ideally, that's when like this role was also created, when the corporate world felt a need that a development manager is not enough to build a product. We need someone who understands the tech but also understands the customers. So to connect those two worlds, the product role was created. And that's my opinion. I may be wrong here, but that's how I think this product role came into picture. And then secondly, if you ask me the evolvement of this particular role in last 10 years, I think now we see a very different kind of product manager roles that have evolved. For example, we have business product manager, we have tech product managers, we have data product
Mhm.
managers. So now the product managers are doing almost like some part of the role remains the same, but the later part is changing now. Like for example, a data product manager might develop products into data or analytics. A business product manager will be focusing on getting the revenue for the particular business line or a organization. Actually, core software development will still there. Like we still have software as a service product managers who are like shipping the products to the client. So that relevant is still there. So that's how I see. I think so you still have this one big bucket of product manager, and now you see this small different roles that are coming out of this tree. And there is still scope for everyone to grow and survive into the industry, because the needs of creating a product has changed. And to cater to that need, I think different kind of roles are coming up. But now, if you ask me the next 10 years, how it will look like for the product manager role, or this particular like domain, I think it's a very interesting like juncture that where we are right now, because of AI. Of course, AI is changing everything that we see today. So definitely it will have an impact on the product management role. And I have been reading a lot, I have been following people a lot on LinkedIn to understand what are the opinions of the leaders, what is it, where exactly this is going. And I think based on that, and based on my experience, the way I look at it is the product manager role will stay. It's
Mhm.
not going to go away even with AI coming or taking a lot of work. But the way I see it, like it will be simplifying most of your mundane tasks, most of the complex tasks where you need some help. I think that's where AI will come in picture. Let me give you an example. For example, what I'm saying, so you are a product manager who want to launch something. So you can use AI to initiate that idea that you want to implement, or you can use the AI to, like, do some analysis, deep analysis, which generally is not possible humanly. So that is fasten that is helping you to fasten the process. But it is still the decision, the human decision will still rely on the product manager, who will then take those decisions, high judgment decisions, which will bring value to the customer and revenue to the company. So I think
Right.
that will still remain even in 10 years or 20 years. Maybe it will evolve, it will like refine, but that will still be there, because product manager's role, I feel, is decision making, making the right decisions to create the value and get the expected revenue out of it.
So we are seeing the impact of AI in across the multiple industry, and the APA product management also will be affected. And as you rightly mentioned, right, it is helping. It's going to help in doing the more research and doing the thing much faster than the previously. Yeah, maybe the regular works or the non-creative works or non-decision making works will be outsourced to AI, but
Correct.
the human part will be always there to take the right
Yeah.
decision,
Yeah.
right? And once we see the evolution that kind, now someone want to start the career in product management, what are the skill set one should have to start the career in product management now?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect question to transition into this one from what we discussed. The skill set, if you ask me, I think the core skill set, like understanding your customer, what a product manager does, I think you have to get your basics right. I think that is most important thing. So you can start with that basics, where you understand the core, what is the essence of this role. The
Mhm.
essence is, you work backwards from your customer requirements, you convert those requirements in such a way that your technical team can implement those, and then you are a single point of contact connecting your different various stakeholders, and then making sure this entire machinery works seamlessly. Because if you're able to do that, then you're a successful product manager. So let's start with the basics first. That will be my suggestion to first to get started into this role. But of course, that is not enough now. As you rightly
Mhm.
said, AI is changing the dynamics of every role, including product manager. So I think the second core skill I would suggest every aspiring product manager should have is data analytics or data science. Even if you
Mhm.
don't code, that's perfectly fine. We have no code tools which can
Mhm.
help you to do your analysis, but that knack of having that analytical mindset, that I
Mhm.
want to get insights out of the data, that I can help, or it will help me to make a better decision. So today's product manager should not rely too much on your partner teams. You should be also able to get start with it, and if you need a help, you go ahead and ask. That's perfectly fine. But you should be self independent to do this analysis with the tools that are handy with you. So that will be my second suggestion, to have a skill set which is very very important, score to the role, no matter what type of product management you're doing. And third thing would be, the most important thing is influencing without authority. I think it definitely stays with the traditional PM roles, but even in this new dynamics that is coming to our way, this is much more important, because now you have to work with tech, like AI, and humans, and bring a balance to it. And in order to do that, you have to have that skill set to influence your teammates, your tech directors, your marketing leaders, that I want to make this decision. AI is helping me to enable that, but why are you doing this? Why
Mhm.
am I making this decision in such a way? So to justify that, I have to convince everyone, and there is no one who is reporting to me directly as a single, a single line, like a threaded leader. So I have to make sure that I can influence them, make them convincing that this is what I need to do, and this is the data points that I'm using, and that's how. So this will be my third skill set that I would recommend to everyone. And you might ask me that, okay, first two, we know where to learn, how to learn, we have different portals, we have mentorships, which we can pursue. But the third skill set, this will come by practice, I feel, because this no one can teach you. You can only practice it, you can only make it better day by day. So the first day of your job, you should start with that. So I think that's how I will look at it. And of course, there are numerous skills to learn, but if you ask me top, like pick top three, this will be my top pick three to any product manager.
So if we categorize there and go much deeper, The soft skill part is communication, and influential is the more on the soft skill part, where you have to interact with multiple people. You have to stakeholder management, communication, managing your
Correct.
interacting with the teams, and all that part. The second part is technical skill, where you have the data analytics or data science of kind of mindset to understand the data more clearly to take the right decision,
Correct.
right? And
That's right.
apart from that, any other technical or soft skill which will add up in
Yeah.
this role.
So you should be very comfortable working with designing tools like Figma or any other tools, project management tools like Asana,
Mhm.
or any other tools that helps you, like Jira.
Mhm.
So these all tools will help you to like move faster in your process, because one of the key time a product manager spends is on backlog management. Backlog means any request that is pending for long time, and you have to clear that, and you have to bring that into the present sprint. So
Right.
backlog management requires a lot of project management skill sets or program management skill sets. So that's where you should be very comfortable working with different kind of tools. That's one.
Mhm.
The another technical skill that I would recommend is like understanding. Even if you don't code, that's perfectly fine. Coding is not a mandatory thing to become a product manager. But having been said that, knowing an end-to-end software cycle of a
Mhm.
product, how a product gets created from the tech perspective, like if
Right.
you if you wear a hat of an engineer, how that engineer will think and create that product, and how they will ship it, what they do before shipping, how they test. I think to understand, if you have a fair understanding of that life cycle, it will make you much more clearer in terms of requirements when you work with your tech team.
Mhm.
Because you, at the end of the day, you can only give the requirements. The building part, the most like difficult part of building will come from the tech team. So working with them and having with this knowledge will always give you an edge as compared to other product managers who don't have this skill set.
And because of that, the people from engineering backgrounds are preferred for product management role, or
Yeah.
anyone coming from the different background is fine with this one.
I mean, yeah, I mean, as you rightly put it, definitely the engineering managers who, aspire to become product manager generally are more successful. I'm not saying the others are not. I have seen completely like non-technical product managers becoming very successful and shipping great products. Yeah,
Mhm.
but definitely the software like development managers, they have just one edge, that they have seen the worst part of how the product gets built. So they are
Mhm.
more cautious about how they will deal with that, like with that active when they become the product manager, when they come the other side, right? So just that the mental model that they use is much more different than what a product manager who has not worked earlier in tech might be. But again, it's only a matter of time, and it's only a matter of how you fast you gain this skill. Because once you are putting the tech team before you and then creating the requirements, I think that will solve most of your problems. So giving that importance, understanding their problems, understanding how they work, and how a product gets created or like shipped to the customer. So that life cycle, if you have a fair understanding, I think that should always be helpful. And then there is no comparison, like anyone can be successful in that.
Right. And that's why it's very dynamic role, because you have to understand the SDLC
Yeah.
process also, that how the products are built and delivered. Second way, you also have to understand the business side also, that okay, what is the expectation of the business and what are the products needs to be built for the customer.
Correct. Correct.
So,
So I will explain this with an example, right? See, in a movie, director, when he or she directs a movie, they know little bit of acting, because they have to
mm,
explain the actors that, hey, do this acting in this format. But they're not
right.
actually acting in the film, they will just
Mm,
guide the actors. Then they should have some basic knowledge of editing, because when the movie is like getting
mm,
edited, they are the ones who will tell, hey, this scene will make sense. Of course the editor will take the call, but having that inputs will always help the editor to see, okay, where exactly this vision is taking forward from the director, and how we can go about it. Photography, even though
mm,
he or she is not taking the photography, but they will explain, oh, the light should be like this. So what I'm coming to is, like, a product manager is actually very much playing that same role as a director of that product, who now may not be actually coding on behalf of the engineer, but they can guide the engineer on what right technology they can use. And
mm,
to even suggest a technology that they should use, you should have the basic knowledge of what a technology would work and what would not work. So
right.
having that skill set in your back pocket will always help you. If you're
Mm,
going to a designing team, and you want to create design for your product, you can always give them inputs, and to give that inputs you should have some basic knowledge of how designing works, even though they will do on behalf of you. But your inputs will play a very very critical role, because you are the one who is responsible to launch this product, and no one knows. So all of the other teams, they will listen to you as a product manager, but the product manager is the voice of the customer. So they actually know what the real customer pain point is and how we are going to solve it. So what changes I will make and how it will impact the value that I'm creating is going to be very critical. So having this skill sets will always help you to make those decisions much faster and in much better way.
So, as you rightly mentioned, the product manager are the voice of the customer, right? And if you go much deeper on that one, that how to do the right customer research or analysis to get the right requirement from the customer side.
So you start with data first. You try to get as much as data possible on the, like, that customer problem statement that you are solving for. And you don't stop at that. You data is just a starting point for you. But you, if possible, in your role, in your domain that you're working on, try to get anecdotal data also from the customers, like real customers. If you can actually go and talk to some customers, if, like, for example, if you are building a software for some airline, so you actually go and visit some folks who are working in the airline. What are the pain points? Why do they need this product? Can't they solve their problem currently without this product, right? So asking those right set of questions, because see, the job of product manager is to create a product, but it is also the job of product manager to sometimes stop from creating the wrong product. And to do that, I think you will need data and the anecdotal points that you can collect as much as possible, and then you make an amalgamation of both this, and then bring the best from what you learn from these two aspects. So that is one way of looking at it. The second is, today there are so many research companies who are actually spending a lot of time, and they are doing some quality work to gain these insights on the customer base, and they're creating this ready-made databases for, like, product managers like us, which we can leverage. But of course that will have some limitations as in compared to like what your company allows and not. So depending on that, you can think about it. But if your company allows, then you can go and purchase those data and then use that. But again, it comes to the first point, that you do some data analysis, but they will do a lot of heavy lifting, so you don't have to like start from the scratch. That is one way. And I think most importantly, I think the thing that I use is, like, I will put myself into the shoe of the customer, and then think, why do the customer is asking, like, why is it that they're asking for this kind of product? What exactly is the pain point that I am not able to see, that they are facing, and this product is going to solve it? So once you start asking those questions, like, for example, if I have to book an airline ticket right at sitting at my home, what are the things that I will be looking out for? What are the challenges that I was facing earlier, which I could overcome if I have a product which I can simply like connect to internet and I can book my airline ticket? So those are the things I will put myself as much as possible in that shoes of or the perspective of the customer, and ask those questions. Because the the best output that you will get to start your product research or anything is asking the right set of questions. So, and how do you know what are the right set of questions? I think, like, coming back to the same point, you, put yourself at in the customer's perspective, and then start from there. So that's how I think I do. That's how I have been trained to do by my mentors, and it has worked so far, and so many people are following that. So it's a working approved model, which I would definitely recommend other aspiring product managers.
Right. I think you clearly mentioned don't assume, right?
Yeah.
You always have to either it should be database, data back, or it should be from the research. Don't
Yeah.
assume and build up something.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the worst thing that a product manager can do, because
Right.
assumptions is the biggest enemy of a product manager, and you cannot take that risk or do that mistake. So never do that. Always go with data, and if you don't have data, at least, and trust me, no product manager can get 100% data. So you have to also understand one thing, that even if you have 50%, 60%, 70%, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead with that, but don't go blank or don't assume. That is the worst thing that you can ever do.
So we discussed multiple skills are required because the product management is so dynamic role, and the multiple skills that are required. And many organizations or companies have started providing the certification product management. And I see in the curriculum many of the these
Yeah.
institutes. So according to you, what are the best way to learn product management? Because it's such a dynamic role, you cannot complete one syllabus and become an expert in product management.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I do see in the market that there are a lot of certifications that have came today. See, I will suggest two, three paths, and depending on what fits for someone, we can always choose, right? See, if you are an aspiring product manager, if you want to start your career with a product management role, then probably you might have to go through a traditional route, that is, you know, do an MBA from a B school, or you know, a good university, and then directly start applying for a you know, entry level product management role. But entry level product management roles are mostly always program management, or you know, something else, like you know, it's not core product management that you will be doing, but it will be a good starting point that you can start with. The second would be, if you are in somewhere in mid of your career, and if you want to like transition your career into product management, the way that I have done is, like you know, working hands on, like trying
Mhm.
to start mentoring, like you know, partnering with actual product managers who are working on something, get their
Mhm.
inputs, you know, try to see if you can, you know, partner with them on some of the projects, and it will happen in the same company that you are working on. And then try to understand whether this role is really for you or not, like you know, test it out before you actually get
Mhm.
into the waters. So once you do that, you know, this is my calling. So then you start, you know, getting a like proper mentorship who can guide you to transition into this particular role, and it will take some time. It will take minimum like 6 months to 1 year, or sometimes even more than that. So that is a non-traditional approach generally, which is like time consuming, but it will be guaranteed success. For one thing is because you are learning hands on, so you
Mhm.
will do the mistakes, you will learn from it. So that's a little experiential kind of a learning. So you don't pay the cost by money, but you pay the cost by
Mhm.
your time. So
Yeah.
you have to choose, you have to balance that, can you pay with money and then learn, or can you pay by time and then you learn? So that's the trade-off you will have to make. And third one is, of course, you do some skill-based certifications, which I think the online ed tech platforms today offer. And I don't have any personal favorite, to be very honest, but if you do go ahead, don't go for very high paid certifications, because at end of the day you will only learn by doing it, which I feel.
Mhm.
So if you just want to know the basics, you know, to able to crack the interviews, you can go ahead and, you know, do some basic certifications. But it should be very targeted and skill based, like I said, and then you start your product management journey. So that would be my couple of suggestions of how you can pursue this. But there are endless ways. Like you know, this is just the ways that I could think of. But I'm sure there is a number of ways that you can get into the product management role.
Right, because I have seen many people have done certification from multiple institutes, but not able to become successful in this role, or not able to crack the things. And maybe because the quantity of the roles required is less as compared to, because maybe one company have 10 or 12 or 20 or 50 engineers in a team, but maybe a couple or few product managers only in the team to manage
Correct.
the project, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the percentage of engineers and the product managers is always very different, right?
Yeah, the ratio will be always like less on in terms of the product management side. But today there are so many startups coming, and every startup needs product managers.
Mhm.
So you have to identify your skill set, like you know, a domain which you are like very comfortable with, and then you can start your job search accordingly. But yeah, there are roles, but yes, it's not easy. But definitely, I agree with you what you're saying.
And I see product management role more as an entrepreneur in the organization who take the ownership of the product and make sure
Yeah.
that product is delivered and create some value for the business.
Yeah, definitely. I think earlier, like, you know, product management role used to call the CEO of the product. Like, you know, at
Mhm.
that level, this role has been given importance, and which is like, to an extent, it's not wrong, because you are owning end to end. If
Mhm.
it's successful, it's team's success. But if something goes wrong, it is the product manager's fault. Is as
Right.
simple as that. So definitely you own these product, and you are responsible to drive it. And like I
Mhm.
said, you have to influence everyone to get this product successfully shipped. So in order to do that, that's why I think in past this role was termed to be as a CEO. And historically, if you see, majorly the CEOs of tech companies were some in their past they were working as a product manager. So that's kind of like, historical data that we can use to, support this statement that we are discussing. And but today I think the roles are changing. Definitely there are so many aspects to it, but it's like I said, it will teach you the skill sets which are required to get into the next level or the senior level, because here you are talking about revenue, you're talking about creating business from the scratch, you're talking about how to, gain more customers, which is exactly what a CEO or a, a senior leadership team is thinking about. So maybe you're thinking about at a product level, they are thinking about at a company level, but that's exactly the skill set you will learn and which you will implement at a larger scale when you grow up. So definitely it's kind of a role that helps you to build a very strategic mindset. At the same time, you know how to ship or how to create from the scratch. So yeah, definitely.
Right. So as you rightly mentioned, it's more like a CEO of the product role. And when we define in that way, the skill set are very dynamic, right? You
Yeah.
cannot have the fixed set of skill set and you become expert in that one. And then we have seen the approach that many organizations providing the large number of case study to understand the products, because you have to understand the successful product and you have to understand the failed product also. And by doing that research you understand more. So what's your understanding on doing or reading more case study where you understand the different kinds of products, and learning from that studies give you better perception than the theoretical aspects of multiple skills?
No, definitely. I think skill sets are important to get or to crack the role. And of course, like, once you start working, you will definitely use the skills more often as you move forward. But what will keep you going
Mhm.
is the knowledge of do's and don'ts that a product manager should do. And how will you learn this? You will definitely learn this by going through a lot of case studies. So
Mhm.
I what I prefer is like, so I, instead of reading the case study, I go and listen to a podcast where there
Mhm.
are product managers who are discussing a particular case study. For example, I refer to Product School podcast, which is one of the
Mhm.
very famous podcast, where they invite product managers from various different companies, and then they discuss about what a product manager should do and what are the do's and don'ts, and what was a failure story, what is a success story. So those things will give me a perspective about which I will take as an input to go move forward. But I will not be completely taking my decision based on that, but it will definitely be a very good input to consider and move forward. Second thing is like, there is another podcast that I listen to, which is Acquired, where
Mhm.
they they speak to like CEOs of the company, like directly, which have been like working on the product in some time of their life, and they have like now leading the entire companies. So that is another podcast which I feel is very very valuable, because you get to learn on very different aspects.
Mhm.
So I would definitely suggest to go through various case studies. Like for example, one failure of one product was a stepping stone for the success of the next product. And it
Mhm.
has been cases in various different companies that you can hear about. So
Right.
this will help me to understand that if I fail sometimes, it's not
Mhm.
a blocker for me. I should learn from it, and I should use that as a learning, as my stepping stone, and build my next product where I will not repeat the mistakes. So to get that perspective, I think this case studies, podcast, or conversations, or articles will definitely help me to move forward. So I think to keep our mindset very open, and if you're open to learn from your mistakes, I think that should really really help you to become a very successful product manager.
Right. And someone who has some experience, they have something to show when they come for interview. But someone
Mhm.
who's starting fresher, right? And they want to show that, okay, I have some skill in this field. So what your suggestion on that then? Should they build some portfolio kind of demo projects to showcase their skill set, and how they should approach when they're applying for the interview as a fresher in product management role?
Yeah, I think for the fresher product management interviews, mostly they will try to gauge how better are you in terms of your communication, how can you handle a complex problem with little, not like there will not be much hand holding, but with little help, can you take this problem statement and try to solve for it on behalf of your customer. So to prepare for such kind of roles, I think my suggestion would be building a portfolio is great. I mean, today people do that, and there are multiple forums that help you to just take up a case study which was like maybe worked in past, or maybe a dummy case study, but it helps you to think like a product manager. For example, if I am the one who is interviewing an aspiring product manager, I will give them a problem statement
Hmm.
saying that I am sitting in right now in US. I want to send money to let's say someone in India. Now, how can I make this international transfer faster? Can you like create a product or create a solution that will help me to move my money faster in real time? Wherever I'm located, that doesn't matter. So once you start identifying the problems around you, you start brainstorming around it, like how can I solve this particular problem. If it's a product solution, great, think about it, how you can build a solution, how much you can do. For example, WhatsApp is used by billions of people. I'm sure everyone has some opinion that this should be there and this should not be there. But think about the pressure on the product manager who is launching the features in WhatsApp, right? And
Hmm.
if you see, there are so many changes happening in WhatsApp today, but how they choose what is the right for my customer. So to understand that, you will have to brainstorm, you'll have to think backwards from your customer, right? So to do this, you have to get your brain trained, and to do that you need to be exercising a lot. For example, when I say exercising, doing this case study, doing this brainstorming, doing discussions with your peers or with your mentors. So this will help you to open up your mindset, create a mental model where tomorrow if I give you any problem statement, you know where to start, how to start, and get to a point where you can, like, at least you can envision what is exactly that I'm building. So I think this things will definitely help you in the interview. And apart from that, like I said, get the basics of product management, what they do. And there are so much of free content available on online today.
Hmm.
You just put it on YouTube or Google and you will get it. So try to get that perspective also before you. And most importantly, if you're applying for a product based company or a service based company, so there I think the difference will be always there. So please make sure that you are you're clear that you want to apply for a product based company where the product managers make the decisions. Because most of the times I have seen, even in most of the startups, it is the engineering manager who is taking the decision, because
Hmm.
of no product managers. So that should not be the case. So you should decide where you want to work and how you want to work. So I think those are the things, if you do some company research, that will also help you.
Right. The product manager has different category of options, right? Either it can be product based company, service based company, it can be B2B product, or it can be B2C product. And I've seen the approach is completely different when you switch the industry or switch the category
Yeah.
of the product, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how have you seen that transition happening, or what are the challenges anyone faces while doing that transition?
Yeah, I mean, see, definitely some part of the role will remain the same. Like I
Hmm.
said, a B2B product launch is very different than a B2C, because the requirements are different, your client base is different. So, so you have to be flexible enough to change the way you work. Like, for example, you have been working 10 years in B2C, and now you are put into a B2B model. So definitely you cannot exactly copy the same steps and make sure that you are successful in this role. So you'll have to tweak. So that's why a product manager's role is very very crucial, that you need to be flexible. You have to keep changing the way you're working and evolve with the need of the hour. So like for example, my customer research for a B2C or B2B might be a little bit same, but my customer base will be different, right? Their needs are different. So if I use the same mindset of B2C into B2B, I won't be able to create a successful product there. So to like draw the line somewhere, that okay, I have this, now I have to build something very new because my customer has changed it. And again, you have to, and that's why I say in in Amazon also, we are taught that work from your customer. So if tomorrow your customer changes, you don't have to worry, because at the end of the day, your process is what you're working backwards from your customer change, your requirement change, you change your way and get implement what is really required.
Right.
So I think if you know your basics right, and if you are having that mental model of working backwards from the customer, I think that will always help you to. And no matter where you go, no matter how much time you change your role, I think these two three things will always help you to transition easier and move faster in this particular role.
Right. And as you mentioned about Amazon, right? So your last 7 years working in Amazon. So how are the processes works in the Amazon while building the product? Because Amazon build amazing products in multiple years. And
Correct.
how is the approach works over there when building the product? And is the culture at any organization help in building the right products?
I mean, to an extent, yes, because, like, for example, so how Amazon works in terms of launching a product is, we as a product manager are supposed to write. a PRFAQ. It's a
Mhm.
public release document that we have to write. So what the idea behind this is like, and as you might be knowing that in Amazon we don't do presentations, we do a
Mhm.
white paper document, right? So let's say I have to launch something, I have to create a business, or I have to create a solution from the scratch. So I will write this public release as if I have launched it and it is getting released today. Even if
Mhm.
I have to work and get it done in next year, right? So I will put a date of 2026, and then imagine what that experience will look like if I have launched the product. So you have to like think a lot, you have to like work a lot, you have to work on like data points, and you have to like seek feedback from various stakeholders to get to that point. Once you achieve that, fine, now you're clear that okay, I want to achieve this state when I'm launching the product next year, and this is how the experience will look like for my customer. Okay, fine, that's the first step. The second step is how will you get there, how will you do it. So that part will come into your FAQs, that is frequently asked questions. So, and there is no limit to that, but you have to also make sure that this document is going to be get reviewed by directors, VPs. So you have to balance that with content that will really add a value to your document. And then we do multiple reviews of the document within the team members, seek feedback, make changes, and then publish the final paper to the leaders. And if they like the idea, they will approve the budget, they will give me the headcounts, they will give me the tech resources to implement that. So that's how things work in Amazon. I'm sure like big product companies, there will be different rules and regulations that some we follow, but the core is like the culture, how the culture is. Because if your culture is product led, then your product
Mhm.
managers have a lot of space to work in. But if your culture is more of like tech driven, then
Mhm.
sometimes I have seen people complaining that the product managers don't have space, or they don't, no one takes them seriously basically. So that is one of the things that I have heard. But so yeah, definitely I think the company's culture helps, and that's why I'm saying, if you want to learn core product management, work in a product based company. Because in
Mhm.
service based companies, generally you might be ending up not doing most of the product management, but ending up doing most of the project or program
Project
management,
management.
or like something else. So that's why I think it's very very important that the company's culture also imbibes that and gives importance to the product manager role.
And as you mentioned, there are multiple roles in the product management. So, what is the career path? Anyone who's starting, anyone start with the one role, and how the career path varies and where it can lead to. Because we discussed, right, the many CEOs are become were the past product managers and they become CEO. So we know there's upper limit of the CEO, and they can start with something. What is the career path from for become a product manager?
I think, like I said, you can start with the basic entry level product management role. So the next level would be somewhere between like associate, or a product management role, which is like little bit experienced role, where the nature of the problems might change, the complexity might increase little bit.
Mhm.
Then you get into senior product manager role, which is much more like self driven roles, where you have to actually identify problem statement
Mhm.
or identify business opportunity. No one's gonna come and tell you that, hey Anand, we see a business opportunity, go and pursue that. No, I have to envision that, I have to identify that, and then like create that from the scratch. And then the next level is like senior product, like senior manager product management, or like director level, where now you are leading a team of product managers. So you are helping them to create a space for them where they can think, where they can experiment, where they can fail and learn from it, and then move forward. So that's what the director is doing. And then as you move forward, your complexity level is increasing, the scope is getting changed and defined in terms of like for example, a senior product manager is trying to create something for a customer at a different level, but a director has to think from multiple levels, right? Which maybe I don't know today because I have not worked in that role. But eventually, once I get there, I will also understand what is it that exactly a director might do. So, and I think that's the career path. And then there is no end to that, because you are actually learning the core of the business in the product management role, strategizing. You're like thinking about not just now, but next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how this will look like.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what a leader needs to do. So from director you might go to like VP, senior VP, and then CEO. So I think that's the path I see for the product managers. And I have seen most of the people who are in their mid careers, they try to transition from different roles to product management, because even they know that this role is going to help me to crack the next level of leadership role. And
Mhm.
that's and this role definitely has the potential of it. So yeah, I mean, definitely we can think about that in those terms. But and there is a lot of growth opportunities in this role, but you have to stand out, you have to be unique, and you have to be self driven. I think that is very, very important.
So it can start with associate, it can go up to CPO or CEO role where you can manage the whole business, because you start with managing the business of one product and then you can manage the multiple products over there.
Correct.
So what's our final advice to all the aspiring product managers?
Follow Dushyant's podcast first of all. But apart from that, my only like suggestion would be that right from today, when you are trying to crack into this role, be very clear that you have to work with AI and with a human. So how will you strike that balance as you
Mhm.
move forward, and how can you add value every time when you're creating something, or you're changing something on the existing product? But what is it, that unique thing that you're doing to add the value? I think that will define you as a product manager, and where you will go and land up in the future. So I think that's the most important thing I feel. And like I said, I'm no I feel very sometimes sad that I have to repeat myself again, and people might think, oh, why is he repeating same thing again and again? But the thing is, you have to understand your customer. I think it all gets boiled down to that. So if you can make that as a habit from day one of your role, that you're working as a product manager, so if your basics are strong, no matter where you go, you will always succeed. And no matter like and no one can stop you to become like a CEO of a company one day. So to get that mindset, you first you know start implementing from day one, and then learn from it, and be flexible. I think that should be more than enough for you to start your journey, and then eventually everyone figures out what is it that they want. Yeah, that should be, yeah, that would be my suggestion, to all the product managers.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anand, for your time and sharing your valuable insight and experience. Many people will learn a lot. I also learn a lot in this conversation. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for those great questions. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thank you so much.